is mathematical models and numerical methods involving first order equations. And we will just be introducing mathematical modeling. So the technique of representing our real world in mathematical terms has become an invaluable tool. This process of mimicking reality by using mathematics is known as mathematical modeling. So we could say that mathematical modeling is the process of mimicking reality by using mathematics. So basically, we are representing the real world in mathematical terms. Okay, so real world problems are often complex, and we have to determine which variables are significant and which variables can be ignored. So we have real world problems, and these are very complex. And so we have to determine which variables are significant and which variables can be ignored. And that gives us our idealizations of the model. And the idealizations of the model are for relevant variables relationships are postulated in the form of laws, formulas, theories, etc. And those assumptions constitute the idealizations of the model. So we could put assumptions for those variables. Okay, so now in building models, this process of building models, it does take skill and it does take imagination, and we do need to have some sort of outline that might be helpful. So in building models, we want to first formulate the problem. And here we need to do this in a way that it can be answered mathematically. And second, we will need to develop the model. And here, once we decide, we will need to decide which variables to include, which ones we feel are important, and which ones are not. For an example of this, you might have the motion of a falling body. And shape, mass, and initial position. So those are possible independent variables. What do we say? The shape, the mass, the initial position, initial velocity, and time. From Elise. So those are going to be our possible independent variables. Our possible dependent variables are those affected by the independent variables. And those might be velocity, location, time of impact, etc. Okay, and we will need to determine or specify the relationships. Okay, then we will need to test the model. And here, basically, we will verify the model by comparing. And let me just go ahead and make this a little bit smaller so that we can continue on. So we will verify the model by comparing its output with experimental data. And we will just see how relevant and how the model makes sense with that data. We also want to make sure that when possible, we want to try to validate the model by comparing its predictions with any experimental data. Okay, and then all we have to really do now is to go ahead and talk about some reminders. Okay, and those reminders will include keeping in mind that a model is a model. It is not reality. A model is a representation. of reality. And that concludes this video.